Imagine finding out your whole life was a lie, that the person you trusted most, the one sleeping beside you every night, was living a secret double life. And the worst part, they used your car to do it. That's exactly where I found myself. Guys, my name's Alex, and my world completely shattered a few weeks ago. I thought my wife Sarah and I had a solid marriage. Sure, things got busy with work and life, but I never saw this coming. She'd been working late more often, seemed distant, but I chalked it up to stress. I was completely blindsided. It started with small things, little inconsistencies in her stories about where she'd been, a weird vibe when her coworker Mark was mentioned, but the real gut punch, my car. I started noticing extra miles on the odometer, unexplained smells, perfume that wasn't hers. One Tuesday, Sarah said she was working late again, but I knew Mark wasn't on the schedule. A cold dread settled in my stomach. I pulled up the location tracker app linked to my car, the car she had that day, and there it was. Not parked at her office downtown. It was sitting at a motel, clear on the other side of town, a motel I'd never heard of. My hands were shaking. I felt physically sick. All those late nights, the distance, it suddenly clicked with horrifying clarity. I knew right then what was happening, but I needed proof. I couldn't confront her with just a location. My mind raced. Later that night, while she was asleep, a terrible thought hit me. Her phone, it was lying there, charging. The passcode was our anniversary. A wave of guilt washed over me, but the betrayal was stronger. I unlocked it, and what I found in her messages, the texts, the pictures, with Mark, planning their meetings, confirming they used my car for their dates. It was undeniable. The evidence was staring right back at me. The rage, the hurt, it was overwhelming. I felt like I was drowning. So, I did something drastic, something I'm still wrestling with. Am I the whole? Because I didn't just confront Sarah, I exposed everything. To everyone, my finger hovered over the send button for what felt like an hour. Seeing those messages, the pictures, the sheer disrespect of them using my car, the one I worked overtime to pay off, it just broke something inside me. The hurt was massive, but this white-hot rage took over. So yeah, I took screenshots, clear ones, dates, times, the whole ugly truth, and then I sent them not just to Sarah, not just to Mark. I sent them to everyone, her parents, my parents, her sister, who I actually liked, even a couple of our closest mutual friends. I just exploded. I wanted the world to see what they'd done. The lies they'd built while smiling at me across the dinner table. The silence after hitting send was deafening. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I'd pass out. What had I just done? The shock of discovery was wearing off, replaced by this cold, sickening dread mixed with fury. Sarah was still asleep upstairs, completely unaware her secret life was blowing up in real time on half a dozen phones. I just sat there on the couch, in the dark, staring at my own phone, waiting for the first reaction to hit. My mind started racing back. How long had this been going on? Mark wasn't just some random guy from work. He'd been over for barbecues. I'd given him career advice. Sarah always said he was just a friend, a good work buddy. I'd even loaned him my car once when his was in the shop. The irony of that now tasted like ash. We'd been together 8 years, married for 5. I thought we were building something real. We talked about kids someday, saving for a bigger place. We had inside jokes, routines. Sure, the last year felt different, more tired, less connected. But I blamed the stress of her new promotion, my demanding project. I tried to be supportive, picking up extra chores, giving her space. Turns out the space I gave her was room to sneak around. All those late nights, those sudden girls' nights, where they just cover the lies must have been constant. The trust feels like it was never real. And Mark, knowing he sat in my living room, shook my hand, probably laughed behind my back the whole time. The humiliation burns almost as much as the heartbreak. Now, sitting alone in the quiet house, the only sound the ticking clock and my own shaky breathing, I realize the bomb has been dropped. There's no taking it back. Any minute now, the fallout begins. Her phone is about to blow up. Mine too. What's the first message going to say? Who's going to call first? What will she do when she wakes up and sees the devastation? The first ping shattered the silence like glass, then another, and another. My phone lit up, buzzing violently on the coffee table, a frantic, angry heartbeat. It was Sarah's sister, Lisa. The preview just showed. Alex, what did you do? Before I could even process that, another notification. My mom, sweetheart, call me now. Then Mark, his name flashing on the screen felt like a physical blow. I didn't answer any. I just watched the screen erupt, a digital avalanche of shock and panic I'd unleashed. Then came the footsteps, heavy, stumbling down the stairs. Sarah appeared bleary-eyed, clutching her phone, the screen glowing bright. Her face was pale, then flushed crimson as she stared at it, then at me. Alex. Her voice was a strangled whisper. What? What? Is this? The confusion in her eyes quickly hardened into something else, pure, cold fury. You went through my phone. You sent ... You sent these private things to everyone. The accusation hit me hard. Private. My voice cracked. Private. You and Mark using my car like your personal love shack isn't private. Sarah, it's betrayal. It's humiliating. I pointed at her phone, still buzzing. That's just the truth hitting back. Instead of crumbling with guilt, she looked defiant. So you just blow up our entire lives, our families, my job. Mark's going to lose his job over this. Her focus on his job, not our marriage, stung deeper than I expected. Maybe he shouldn't have been screwing his co-worker's wife. Shot back, the rage boiling over again. Suddenly my own phone rang. It was Mark. This time I answered, putting it on speaker. His voice was tight, laced with panic and anger. Alex, man, you have to stop. Take it down. You can't just send that stuff around. HR is going to be all over us on Monday. Sarah gasped, looking horrified. See, she hissed at me. You're destroying everything. Mark kept pleading. Look, we messed up. Okay, badly, but this, sending proof to everyone. That's nuclear. You're going to ruin careers. His panic felt like a weird kind of victory, but hollow. You ruined my marriage. Mark, I said, my voice flat, dead. You both did. Enjoy the consequences. I hung up. Sarah was crying now, angry tears. You had no right. This is between us. But it didn't feel like us anymore. It felt like a war zone. My parents called again. Her mom texted, demanding an explanation from her. Friends were sending bewildered messages, asking if it was real. The sheer scale of the exposure was hitting me. The shame, the pity, the judgment. It was starting to drown out the anger. Did I go too far? Was exposing them publicly just as bad as their lies? The initial rush of vindication was fading, replaced by a sickening dread about what Monday would bring, about the shattered relationships I might never fix, and the cold, uncertain future staring back at me from Sarah's furious, tear-streaked face. A bomb had gone off, and now we were all just standing in the radioactive dust, waiting to see who survived. The weekend passed in a blur of silence and screaming. Sarah moved into the guest room, slamming the door like punctuation after every hissed argument. My phone never stopped. Some friends ghosted me entirely. Others sent awkward thinking of you texts that felt like pity. My mom cried, begging me to talk to Sarah, to fix it. Her parents left furious voicemails calling me a vindictive monster for airing their daughter's dirty laundry. The worst, Lisa, Sarah's sister, the one person I thought might understand, texted, "You broke her, Alex." Was public humiliation really necessary? Guilt gnawed at me, sharp and constant, even as the image of my car parked outside that motel flashed in my mind, fanning the dying embers of my rage. Sunday night, the email landed. Official, from Sarah and Mark's company. HR, a summons. For me, Monday morning, 9 a.m. They wanted my account of events, citing the distributed material impacting the workplace. My stomach dropped. This was real. This could cost them their jobs. Part of me thought, good, they deserve it. But another quiet part whispered, did you? Dragging their bosses into this? I walked into that sterile HR office Monday feeling like a ghost. Sarah and Mark were already there, seated far apart. Mark looked like he hadn't slept, eyes bloodshot, avoiding my gaze. Sarah sat rigid, her face a cold mask, but her knuckles were white where she gripped the chair. The HR manager, a woman with a two-come voice, began. She confirmed they'd seen the screenshots I'd sent to multiple parties. She asked me to describe how I discovered the affair. My voice sounded hollow, recounting the car tracker, the motel, the phone. Saying it out loud, in this bright, quiet room, made it feel surreal and even more humiliating. Then came the twist. Sarah spoke up, her voice icy. Alex accessed my private phone without permission. That's a violation. The messages were obtained illegally. Mark jumped in, eager, yeah, totally unethical. And sending them around, that's harassment, defamation maybe. They were tag-teaming me. Suddenly, I was the one under scrutiny. The HR manager's expression shifted, becoming unreadably professional. Mr. Carter, accessing a private device without consent is a serious matter. Could you clarify the circumstances under which you viewed your wife's messages? My throat tightened. I'd used our anniversary passcode. Was that illegal? It felt like a cheap shot, them twisting my pain into my crime. Before I could answer, Sarah dropped another bomb. And Alex has been unstable, she said, her eyes glinting, jealous, controlling. He's been tracking my car for months, long before he had any reason. Ask him. My jaw clenched. I had installed the tracker months ago after her car got keyed in a parking lot, purely for security. But explaining it now, under her accusing stare, sounded pathetic, defensive. The HR manager made notes, her pen scratching loudly. We'll need to investigate all these claims thoroughly, she said. This includes the allegations regarding Mr. Carter's conduct prior to the discovery. The ground felt like it was tilting. This wasn't just about their affair anymore. Sarah was fighting back hard, painting me as the villain to save her own skin and Mark's. The meeting ended with a tense warning not to contact each other or discuss the investigation. Walking out, the air crackled with hatred. Mark scurried off. Sarah paused, looking at me with pure venom. You wanted war, Alex. You've got it. Then she turned and walked away, heels clicking like gunshots on the polished floor. Now I'm sitting in my silent car in the parking garage, hands shaking. HR is digging into my life. Sarah's weaponizing my pain. My family's fractured. Friends are gone. And Mark, he's probably just praying he survives. The initial explosion of exposure has triggered a chain reaction I never saw coming. I thought exposing the truth would bring some kind of justice, some closure. Instead, it's opened a Pandora's box of chaos, accusations, and a fight I'm not sure I can win. The real fallout is only just beginning, and I have absolutely no idea how deep the damage goes or who's going to be left standing when the dust finally settles. The silence in the car is suffocating, and it feels like the calm before an even bigger storm. The silence in the car was shattered by my phone buzzing, not a call but a direct message request. From Mark. My thumb hovered, disgust warring with morbid curiosity. What now? More threats. A plea to retract my statements to HR. I accepted. His message loaded. Meet me alone. Coffee shop on Elm. 30 minutes. What you heard in there. It's not the whole story. Sarah's playing you. I have proof. Proof of what? Against Sarah. After everything, my head spun. This had to be a trap. Desperation. But the seed was planted. What if Sarah wasn't just defending herself? What if she was setting me up? The image of her cold, calculating stare in HR flashed back. I drove on autopilot, the knot in my stomach tightening with every mile. Mark was already there, hunched over a corner table looking worse than he did in HR. Jumpy, pale. He flinched when I sat down there watching. He muttered, eyes darting towards the streets. HR might have someone tailing us after that meeting. Breach of the no-contact order. The paranoia felt real. What proof? Mark, I asked, my voice low and hard. And why tell me now, after helping her crucify me? He slid his phone across the table, screen open to a message thread with Sarah, dates from before I'd found the motel location. Read it, he urged, his voice shaking all of it. It started like their other texts, flirty, secretive, but then the tone shifted. Sarah's messages became manipulative, cold. Remember what I said about Alex's temper? One read. If he ever finds out, he'll come after you. He's unstable, possessive, we need to be careful, have a plan. Another sent weeks later. If it blows up, stick to the script, the car tracker story, the jealousy angle. HR eats that stuff up. Protect yourself. Blame him. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just damage control. This was premeditated. She'd been planning to frame me as the abusive, controlling husband long before I caught them. Mark looked shattered. She orchestrated this, Alex. The whole controlling narrative. She fed it to me months ago. Said it was insurance. She made me feel scared of you. Said if we got caught, it was the only way to save our careers. He wiped his eyes. I was stupid, weak, but I swear, I never thought she'd actually use it like this. Not until she started spinning it in HR, turning it against you. The betrayal deepened into something darker, more sinister. It wasn't just the affair. It was the calculated lie, the smear campaign built on my character, using my genuine concern for her car's safety as a weapon. Why show me this? I asked, pushing the phone back, feeling dirty. Just touching it. Why risk it? Because HR's digging. Now, Mark whispered, leaning in. They'll find inconsistencies. They might subpoena our actual message history, not just the screenshots you sent. If they see these, he pointed at his phone, her instructions. It blows her story apart. Shows she manipulated me too. Maybe it shows the controlling narrative as bullshit. Helps us both. He looked desperate. I don't want to lose my job over this. And I sure as hell don't want her dragging me down deeper with her lies, us both. I almost laughed. The audacity yet. The evidence was damning. Sarah hadn't just cheated, she'd built a trapdoor under our marriage, ready to push me through if she got caught. And Marky was just another pawn she was willing to sacrifice. The initial shock of the affair felt almost simple compared to this chilling revelation. Now I had proof Sarah was actively trying to destroy my reputation to cover her tracks, but could I trust anything from Mark? Was this another layer of her manipulation, or was he genuinely terrified and trying to save himself? And if I used this evidence, exposed this, what nuclear option would Sarah pull next? The HR investigation wasn't the endgame anymore. It felt like the first move in a much uglier, more dangerous war, and I was holding a bomb I didn't know how to defuse, or if I even should. The messages Mark showed me burned in my mind. Sarah hadn't just cheated, she'd built a fortress of lies to bury me if she got caught. Trusting Mark felt like stepping onto rotten ice, but the proof was undeniable. I spent a sleepless night, wrestling with it. Use it, risk Sarah detonating something worse, stay silent and let her smear campaign win. By dawn, the rage felt cold, hard. She wanted war. Fine. I'd fight fire with truth. I forwarded everything to the HR investigator before the next meeting. Sarah's messages coaching Mark planning the controlling husband narrative, using my car tracker as her weapon. No note, just the raw, ugly evidence. Walking back into that sterile HR room felt like walking onto a battlefield. Sarah sat rigid, radiating icy confidence. Mark looked like he might vomit. The investigator's face was unreadable. but her opening words hit like a hammer. Mr. Carter has provided additional material relevant to the allegations made in our last session. She slid printed copies of Sarah's damning messages towards her. Ms. Carter, care to comment? Sarah's mask cracked. She scanned the pages, her face draining of color, then flushing a furious red. She whipped her head towards Mark, pure venom in her eyes. You snake, you pathetic, cowardly little. She choked back the rest, realizing the trap. Her gaze snapped to me, not with fury this time, but something colder, utter contempt. You think this makes you the hero, Alex? Ruining lives with your self-righteous snooping. It makes you a liar, Sarah, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. A manipulator. You didn't just betray me. You tried to destroy me to save yourself. The meeting dissolved. The investigator confirmed Mark was terminated immediately for violating company conduct policies. Sarah, seeing the writing on the wall, resigned before they could fire her reputation in tatters. The professional fallout was brutal and final. Walking out, Sarah didn't look at me. She just hissed, "The divorce papers will be at the house. Sign them. Get out of my life." Mark scurried away, a ghost already. I went back to the empty house, the silence heavy with the echoes of our shattered life. It was over. The truth was out. The careers were wrecked. The marriage was dead. I felt hollow, exhausted, but a sense of closure. On the kitchen counter, as promised, lay the divorce papers, and tucked underneath them, not a note, but a crumpled receipt from a fertility clinic. Dated months ago, my breath caught. It was for a procedure, an embryo transfer, Sarah's name. A lone confusion warred with dawning horror. We'd talked about kids, vaguely, someday, but this. She'd started the process, without me. Why? Then it clicked. The dates. This was before the affair truly blew up, but right when the distance started, when the late nights with Mark began. Was this why? Was the pressure, the fear, the isolation of trying alone, was that the crack he slipped through? Did she feel so alone in that dream that the rage dissolved, replaced by a crushing wave of sadness so profound it stole my breath? The affair was her choice, the lies, the manipulation unforgivable, but seeing that receipt, it wasn't an excuse, but a horrifying glimpse into a pain I never knew she carried. A pain she hid, maybe even from herself, until it twisted into betrayal. I sank to the floor, the divorce papers in one hand, the clinic receipt in the other. I'd won the battle, exposed the truth, but the cost felt immeasurable. The final twist wasn't revenge or justice. It was the devastating realization that the deepest betrayal might have started long before the affair. In the silent, lonely space where our shared dreams had quietly died without me even noticing. The war was over. All that was left was the rubble, and the haunting echo of a question I'd never get to ask. Why didn't you tell me? I signed the divorce papers. It wasn't a relief, just a numb finality. The legal stuff dragged. Dividing assets felt like picking over the bones of our dead marriage. That crumpled fertility clinic receipt. I never mentioned it. Not to the lawyers, not to my confused parents who slowly, painfully, came around after hearing the full story. The affair, the manipulation, Mark's desperate betrayal, and finally, Sarah's scorched earth attempt to destroy me. Knowing about the clinic changed things for them too. It didn't forgive her, but it painted a picture of a despair I'd been blind to. A chasm that opened long before Mark walked into it. Sarah vanished. Moved cities, blocked me everywhere. Lisa, her sister, reached out once months later, just a short message. "She's broken. What you both did, it broke her." I didn't reply. What was there to say? Mark fired, obviously. Last I heard, he scrambled for a job out of state. His reputation in our industry pretty much ashes. Karma, maybe, but it felt hollow. The car I sold it, couldn't stand the smell of betrayal lingering in the upholstery, the ghost of their dates in the passenger seat. Used the money for first and last on a small apartment. Different part of town. Starting over felt less like a new chapter and more like learning to walk again after a crash. The anger is still there. Sometimes, a low simmer when I think about the lies, the calculated cruelty, but the white-hot rage that made me hit send on those screenshots, it's faded, replaced mostly by this heavy sadness. Sadness for the trust obliterated, for the future we planned that turned to dust, and yes, sadness for the pain Sarah must have been drowning in alone. That receipt, it's the ghost haunting the ruins. Why didn't you tell me? The question echoes unanswered. Maybe she felt she couldn't. Maybe the distance was already too wide. Maybe it's just easier to blame the co-worker, the affair, the betrayal. Healing isn't a straight line. Some days are okay. Some days the loneliness bites hard. I started therapy. Talking helps, untangling the mess of hurt and mistrust left behind. The biggest lesson, truth matters, but how you expose it matters too. Blowing up lives, even guilty ones, leaves everyone scarred. Closure isn't about winning the war. It's about learning to live in the uneasy peace that comes after the bombs stop falling. I'm trying, one day at a time. The affair ended my marriage, but the aftermath taught me brutal lessons about trust, communication, and the devastating cost of secrets left to fester in the dark. Now I'm just figuring out how to carry that weight without letting it crush me.